Happy Tuesday, Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. This is the Tennessee UNC Asheville post-game BaseVols live. Once we get some people on here tuning in, appreciate you tuning in. Those of you who do, I know this is going at the same time as the basketball games starting, and so we'll see how that goes, and I'll stay on here for a little bit with it. And if you're watching the game and tuning in basketball, appreciate you tuning in with me. We'll get right into this thing, but make sure you like this thing, share it, subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Appreciate you guys that are tuning in with the baseball shows as continue to try to build a baseball brand on here. As we'll be going live tonight, we'll be going live again tomorrow night after the ETSU game as well. But let's get right into this game as Tennessee pulls one out today, 3-2 against UNC Asheville, and you just never know what to expect out of these midweek games. I mean, it's a lot of times it's assumed that it'll just be a slaughter, and that's not always going to be the case, especially you get a UNC Asheville team not that far from Knoxville, a couple hours at the most. And so, especially they're coming in playing, a top 10 team. So they're probably going to want to come in and prove a point, especially after Asheville, the weekend they had against Georgia. Not a good weekend for them as they went down and got swept, and Georgia was in double digits every game. So UNC Asheville's pitching stepped up a lot more today. And, Tennessee, for the most part, had their normal lineup. And it's just, not a lot of hits. But, there were some positives to me, some positives for me today as well. As I'm not really down on this performance at all. I'm not that dissatisfied with it. Number one, they did some things that got them the win. We got to see some young guys pitching today. You saw Schaefer. We seen him a little bit against Oklahoma the other night. You seen Banky, and then you seen Austin Hundley, which you guys been following for a bit. You remember Sean Hundley, who was the closer a couple years ago, and they went to Omaha. So it's his younger brother, and he come in and did a good job tonight as well. But again, I'm just not that dissatisfied with it tonight. I thought there were some good balls hit. Thought there was some bad luck along the way as they had Inslee, Burke, and Villeneuve all hit balls that would have been gone had they been fair. But obviously they weren't, and ifs and buts and so on. But there were some hard hit balls. Amick hit the one hard hit ball that hit Kavaris Tears. I don't know that gets through. That may have been fielded, but that was a rocket off of his bat for sure. He did some good things at the plate. What I liked, only 5 strikeouts tonight, which cut down from the weekend, 15 Saturday night, 10 on Sunday night. And then I'm trying to see, one baseball doesn't have, trying to see if they have the left on base on here. They don't have the left on base statistic. That's one I was kind of interested in tonight. Tennessee obviously left some guys on base, but not anything like they did over the weekends. They left 30 guys on base down in Arlington over the weekend. Trying to see, like I said, they had 5 strikeouts tonight. You had, look at your lineup. You had Inslee went 0 for 2, but he had a walk. He had a sac fly, and I'm going to get back to that here in just a few minutes. Dylan Dreiling, pretty tough night for him. 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts. So out of the 5, Dylan Dreiling had 3 of them. And seems like since they've moved him up, I don't know. He's not fared well in that 2-hole so far. Christian Moore went 1 for 3. He had a walk. He had an RBI. Inslee, I did mention he did have an RBI. Kavaris Tears, bottom of the second, hits that home run to start off the inning that kind of gets things going for them. And then, 2 for 4 for him with a run and an RBI. 2 ground outs, no strikeouts. Billy Amick 0 for 4. Hit some hard balls tonight. He struck out his last at bat. Normally, I would have been not too happy with that with the guy on third. That ball was at least a good 6 inches outside. You cannot fault him for taking that. Maybe it's one of those where it's close. You got to swing at it. But you just can't fault him on that one. He'd hit some hard balls tonight, and they showed the replay. It pretty much hit where the catcher was set up, but that's not the objective. The objective is throw a strike. It wasn't a strike. The umpire strike zone was a little iffy tonight for sure. But I don't know. Maybe it's a case of if it's that close, you got to be swinging. Maybe you just fouled off or something. I can't fault him on that, but still, it kind of sucked in the situation. You had an opportunity to get a run in, and you didn't. Look at the rest of the lineup. You had Blake Burke 1 for 3. He had a double, a walk, an intentional walk. No strikeouts tonight. I thought that was good for him. Had 2 flyouts. There's signs of him swinging the bat better. He got the double. That was a good hit. I mean, they're shifting him, and he's still hitting through the shift on it. A little bit of signs he's back to hitting 6 tonight. Robin Villeneuve back in the lineup, 0 for 2. He did have a walk. Diane had a ground out and flat, no strikeouts from him. They did pinch run with Laurie later on, and in his one at bat, he struck out. There's second base right now, and I don't think Christian Moore is the long-term shortstop on this team. I don't think that's where it's going with it. I think some of your main shortstops are out, so I don't anticipate that going real well. But I think Laurie is – I've not seen enough of him right now to where he shouldn't be in a competition. He's not – I mean, he's had his moments. He had the sack fly in game 1 where he got a run in. He was able to – he kind of got robbed of a hit in the scorebook because I thought he had a hit against Texas Tech, and they didn't give him credit on. That was a tough ball up the middle. It pulled the first baseman off the bag, but I don't know. I thought it wasn't like it was an easy throw or anything either, but they did start Ethan Payne at second tonight, and he was 0 for 2. Roy had ground out and a fly out. Dalton Bargo did hit later on. He was hit by a pitch, and then they put Alex Perry in, and then Charlie Taylor started at catcher. He was 0 for 2 tonight with 2 flyouts, and later on they put Cannon Peebles in for him. And what I liked tonight, and this was one of my concern, not really concern, but one of the things that went on about coming out of the weekend is when they had opportunities, there wasn't the small ball that was in. And tonight, when they had that opportunity in the 8th inning, the 7th inning, you had the 2 guys on, 1 out, no outs. Cannon Peebles come in. He hit that long ball to right field, which moved the runner over. And then I'm going to give Hunter Inslee credit. I've been hard on him before, leading off. He didn't strike out tonight. Now, he didn't get on to start the game, but he put the ball in play. He drew a walk once, and then he had a good at bat where, honestly, I'm kind of sitting here thinking, oh, no, here we go again. But, heck of a job by him. He got the sack fly. He got the run in, and that was the difference in the ball game right there. Good at bat for him. He played good defense again in center field tonight. I mean, that's why he's in the lineup. I can sit here and debate all day long, should he lead off or not? But the bottom line was that was good winning baseball tonight. Does not matter who you're playing. They advanced 2 runners on it, advanced the runner to third, and then again, they advanced Laurie to third with Cannon Peebles with that long fly to right, and then Inslee come through. Big time for him. And then I liked it again in the 8th inning where Christian Moore got on base. He had gotten to second, and then let me kind of look back. I'm trying to remember the frame on this one. But Tears come up and grounded out to second base, but he advanced that runner to third. Again, it's the little things, but that's good baseball. That's good baseball. Unfortunately, Amick wasn't able to get him in, and then Burke was intentionally walked, and then you had Laurie who struck out. Again, I mean, I was texting a buddy of mine who chimed in here on the chat as well, but I think we're both in agreement. I'd like to see some more competition. There's some other guys I'd like to see in second base. I'd seen where Inslee had worked some there, but I don't think you can pull him out of center is the only problem. He's playing some good center field right now. Could a guy like Bargo possibly play some second? He didn't have a great night Sunday night, but he did have a hit Sunday night. He was able to get on base tonight. Your Dean Curleys, your Antiguas, when they get healthy, now obviously they're going to move someone around, but I just wonder at what point. I thought it kind of sounded like over the weekend maybe Curley was getting close to being ready, but apparently he isn't right now. I mean, Alex Perry, they put him in late. Is he just going to be one of those where he's a defensive replacement late in the game. I don't know how they go with that, but yeah, I agree with this one. Tiers had a good game. My problem with him, because the announcers are like, "Oh, he couldn't help it on that." Yeah, he could have. You've got to wait for that. I mean, that's normally taught. And you got to wait for the ball to pass. I mean, that ball was coming right at him, and he just never stopped. He kept running and hit him in the foot. Bad base running by Tiers. I said it earlier. I don't know that that's a hit because it could have been right to the shortstop, but yeah, I know it was hit hard. I know that, but that was not a case of, well, he couldn't help it. No, it was bad base running. And that's something, over the couple years. I didn't do any shows last year, did a little bit the year before, and definitely a lot before that. That's one thing I've harped on with Tennessee over the years is their base running. It's not a smart. I haven't seen enough this year, no, but I know they had numerous opportunities last year where they weren't good on the bases. And then we've had other instances where they're not good on the bases. They're not good sliders. We haven't seen that much this year, but I'm hoping that's something that's changed. But, in our first real instance, base running, that was bad base running. You've got to let the ball pass. Got to let the ball. And there was really no need that Tier. It wasn't like he had to advance on that one. There was no one on first base. So, he could have waited for that to go through. I know he's trying to get a jump to score if that's a base hit. I understand that. But at the same time, you just took potentially at least a run off the board, which they needed. And, Asheville out hit them 8-5 tonight. And, you got to think tomorrow night as well, when you get these in-state matchups, these midweek in-state matchups, they're tough games, man. We've seen what Tennessee Tech's done the last couple of years. ETSU's not coming in to be scared tomorrow night. I've seen ETSU play Tennessee enough in person over the years. They normally bring it every time they play. They're going to bring it tomorrow night. They're going to be excited. I've said it before. I said it like in the Tennessee-Missouri pregame yesterday at basketball. Just because you're coming in ranked doesn't mean the other team's going to piss down their leg and be scared. All right? ETSU's not coming down there. They're going to be scared. They're going to be fired up to win tomorrow night. UNC Asheville come in tonight ready to play. Tennessee's going to have to bring it tomorrow night. And, I'm not saying that ETSU is like this great team on their level, nothing like that, but it's baseball. It's college baseball. And that's the beauty of college baseball is you really can't take anyone lightly. College baseball is wild. Some of the stuff that happens. And any guys that follow it, the dude over the weekend that got hit, 8 or 9 times. That's just, it's hilarious. It's crazy. How does that even happen? But that's the beauty of college baseball is you never know what's going to happen on it. Just looking on it, we've got a few of you in here. I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. I'm going to keep rolling with this thing. If I'm talking to myself on here, so be it. I've got a video for later on. I got 4 of you in here right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we got basketball. I know another channel. He's doing this thing tonight, not trying to compete with anybody, but it's a baseball game. This is a baseball brand. That's what we're rolling with. And we'll keep sticking with it, keep trying to build it, and hopefully they will come, as they said. But moving forward, so Tennessee's got ETSU tomorrow night, and we'll talk the pitching here in just a minute as well. As I like some of what I saw tonight as well. But ETSU tomorrow night, 4:30 once again. And then this weekend they got Albany Friday at 4:30. Saturday, I think, at 2 o'clock, and then Sunday around 1. And if all goes well, we'll try to go live after all 3 games. Or I'm sorry, all 4 games. The rest of the week, again, just trying to build a brand. I haven't found any other channels covering baseball to this extent like I am that's as thorough and detailed with it. I'm not saying I'm the best at it by any means. I'm not 24/7. I'm not VolQuest, Rocky Top Insider, guys who are paid to go out and cover this. But, as far as these YouTube channels, just independent channels and things like that, nobody's going to cover it better than I do about baseball. That's a fact. That's not an opinion on it. So I hope you guys will stick with this. Again, thank you guys that are in with me. I'm going to try to wrap this thing up probably within the next 10 minutes. That way we can get to the basketball game and can get some stuff recorded for later on. But talked a minute ago, I want to get to the pitching. That was when Derek Schaefer started tonight. I'm curious to see who goes tomorrow night. as well. This was one of my talking points in the UNC Asheville preview. Was I was curious to see who pitched. I mentioned Schaefer's possibly. I kind of thought maybe Matthew Dallas. I'm curious to see maybe they go with him tomorrow night, possibly. But they do have some other guys who you could see it well. And I think based on just looking at the pitching tonight, so Schaefer threw, this is according to D1 Baseball, he threw 46 pitches, Banky threw 51, Austin Hundley threw 47. So those guys are out till at least the weekend, if not next week. They're not going to come back and throw tomorrow night. And, I don't know what their bullpen day is. I don't even know how much colleges throw a bullpen. I know high school last year, we threw bullpens every guys threw at least a bullpen a week. Depending on how it went, maybe a couple, depending on if they threw on game day or not. So I watched last year, I know in Columbia, when I went to the doubleheader the last day of the year, you had Dolander and Burns through game 1, and then Beam through game 2, and I can't remember who finished up the game as Tennessee rolled that last game. But I know after the game, I kind of stuck around, and Frank Anderson had numerous guys out there throwing bullpens, and that was before they went down to Hoover for the SEC tournament, because they pretty much went straight from Columbia to Hoover. So, they're throwing bullpens at college level as well. I've seen some of your outlets that cover it saying, well, they're not throwing this one. No, there's guys throwing bullpens. They're doing stuff throughout the week. You could bet on that. It's not a good thing not to throw a bullpen. They're doing their exercises on their arms each day. They're throwing their bullpens. They're warming up. They're staying loose throughout the week. If they didn't throw for a whole week prior to going in, they're going to be a little rusty. And so I'm interested to see who throws tomorrow. Again, I'm going with just an educated guess that it'll be Dallas tomorrow. But, I obviously don't know that for sure. Just looking through the pitchers, who it could possibly be. I'm looking at options of guys. We saw Marcus Phillips going out. I think if it would have gotten tight, you may have seen Marcus Phillips close that thing out tonight. But, hats off to Austin Hundley. I thought he pitched well. He pitched 3 1/3 innings. He got 5 fly balls, 3 ground outs, gave up 3 hits, had 2 strikeouts. And then Banky, 51 pitches, gave up 2 fly balls, 1 ground out, 2 2/3, 1 run, which was earned, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts. Derek Schaefer, 46 pitches, 4 fly balls. He gave up 1 ground out. He went 3 innings, 1 run, which was earned, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. So Asheville got to him in the first inning. You had Burnett for Asheville, who started off. I talked about this guy in my preview. He was is the Big South preseason player of the year. He had a pretty good weekend down at Georgia this past weekend. He hit 400 coming out of the weekend. So you knew coming in, and that's what I like about what Asheville did. They had their guy leading off. He is their guy. He was leading off. I'm a fan of putting your guy leading off, and we can sit here and debate about it. But I will say this, and I said it earlier, I'm proud of what Hunter Inslee did tonight. He was putting the ball in play. He drew the walk, and then he got the job done. He hit a sac fly, which was what was needed in that 7th inning. And, that won the game for them as well, as Hundley was able to pitch out of that, or pitch it to victory at that point. Again, this is what I like about midweek games too. You get to see guys you normally won't see on the weekend. You may see some freshmen on that. So Schaefer went today again. I think you got to rule those 3 guys out, possibly even till next week. So looking at options of guys who you could see tomorrow. I know you got J.J. Garcia. He's a redshirt freshman. Do we see him a little bit? I don't think Causey. I'm just kind of going down the line. I think Causey's going to throw on the weekends. Whether, Tony Vitello's talked about he could start, but, look at what he did out of the bullpen the other night too. Lights out. 1 bad pitch he threw, and he was lights out the rest of the time. Wyatt Evans, I had seen, talked about this. I was reading where evidently he's been in Vitello's doghouse. Don't think it's anything major based on what I read, but, it's evidently something that pissed Tony off. And so does Evans maybe get back into good graces and they throw him a little bit tomorrow night? Is he a candidate to be a Sunday starter at some point? I think if he gets things going right, he'll be all right. Let's see what you got here. I think it's Dallas. I think Stamos gets an inning. The big 44 might get two to get ready for the week. After that, depends on score. TV, use who he needs to midweek to win if need. Yeah, you saw it tonight. That's a good point. You saw it tonight when they started pinch hitting late. You saw Bargo come in. You saw Peebles come in as well when they had Payne and Taylor. I mean, it's like we talked on text message tonight. Basically, you had a lineup of 7 guys with 2 outs. Charlie Taylor's not in for his offense. Anything with him or Cal Starkey gets just icing on the cake. They're in for their defense. And Vitello talked about in the preseason with those 2 guys. He said, Frank and Elander and us said we could leave, and Cal Stark and Charlie Taylor could coach this team. He said that's how good they know things and how good they know the team. So, I mean, those guys have a role on that team for good reasons. I mean, they know the game. They're good defensively. They're team guys. Yeah, they're not offensive juggernauts by any means, but they're in there for their defense. They're in there because they know how to call a game. And so, I mean, that's good for them. And just like I said, I mentioned Garcia. It's a guy out of Charlotte he's a big guy, 6'6", 209. You got, I kind of wonder if you might see Aaron Combs, but I think Aaron Combs is more of I still think he's kind of your closer for the time being. Brady Robertson, redshirt freshman out of Humboldt. Maybe you see him a little bit tomorrow night, make his debut. You're not going to see Beam. You're not going to be seeing A.J. Russell. Kirby Cannell, he's not even thrown yet. So I'm not sure what they're doing with him. I'm not sure if he's just on here to collect batting gloves, if he's just on here to keep, put fur coats on guys, or what his role is this year. I kind of expected we would see him a little bit more on the weekend, but I'm kind of wondering Kirby's just kind of a guy who moves into a coach role or something later on. It seems like he's been here for a long time. I do know that, but I haven't seen Cannell even warm up yet, to my knowledge. Maybe he did sometime in Arlington over the weekend. So does he throw a little bit tomorrow night, possibly out of the bullpen? I would think, I mean, he's a veteran guy who's gotten a lot done. I would think you want to get him some work at some point, unless he has an injury or something possibly too that I'm not aware of. Looking at other options, Dylan Loy, freshman out of Pigeon Forge, seen a little bit about him. Could he possibly get some run? Luke Payne, I think that's a redshirt. Marcus Phillips, Matthew Dallas, Braden Sharp, a 2-way guy out of Texas. Do they throw him a little bit, or is he going to be a redshirt guy? I think that's your options right now. I don't think Sechrist comes back tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised to see them give him another start this weekend against Albany and then see where it goes from there. I think that's your options of guys you'll see. I mean, I still think you could see some of these weekend guys. You may see, like Ped's Revenge said, maybe you see Stamos for an inning or something tomorrow night. But he had a couple pretty good innings on Sunday night. You're not going to see Snead. He just threw 85 pitches, so he's out till the weekend. Again, Beam and Russell, I don't think you'll see Combs. I mean, maybe you get an inning, but I think they'll have him probably ready to go for Friday night. Causey, weekend guy. So I really think, unless they need it for the most part, it's going to be kind of your redshirt freshman guys who haven't pitched as much like we saw tonight in there. And, again, you saw Marcus Phillips warming up. So I think he was ready to go. But, I mean, great job by Austin Hunley getting it done. No runs tonight, 3 1/3 innings. So they took care of business there. And what other changes do we see out of the lineup tomorrow night? I think Burke moved back up. Inslee's going to be in center. Dreiling, I think. I don't know. I'm curious to see if they give somebody else a shot in left. Dreiling struck out a lot the last couple games. Could they give somebody else a chance? Moore's going to be at short. Tears, I mean, he's swinging a good bat. You got to leave him in. Amick is not going anywhere. Amick, man, he has had some tough luck. Like right now, he's hitting 400. No. That's his gets left-handed pitching. He's hitting 235, but he's had some tough. He had the bad game against Oklahoma. He didn't have a great game tonight, but it's kind of every other game. But he's been robbed, I don't know how many times, of just hitting some bullets. And Burke 6. They're going to continue to get Burke swings. Villeneuve, Curious to see if they get him more swings. And then who knows from there, Bargo, Peebles. I think Peebles will be somewhere in the lineup tomorrow night, whether they put him back behind the plate again or whether he's DHing. Kind of curious to see with that as well. But I think we're going to look at wrapping this thing up. Like I said, to come this week, you got ETSU tomorrow night, 4:30 as well. From what I understand, and it makes sense, they're playing these early games. It's February. You know what the weather, never know what the weather's going to be like in February in this, in the southeast. So they're playing it, it allows us these earlier shows. And good thing tomorrow night we won't have to contend with basketball as everything's going on right now. So we'll see where it is moving forward. Basketball right now, 9-7, 10 minutes. So it looks like the scoring is not going too good. Not tuning in yet, but getting ready to turn it on. So I'm going to try to do an ETSU preview, drop it here in a few minutes, and then do a post game for the Missouri game tonight. Just a quick recap. It's not a live show or anything, but you guys that's tuned in with me now, I appreciate that. I hope to see you tomorrow night. I hope it'll grow more tomorrow night. I had a loftier goal than what I hit tonight, but there's also competition there, and I wondered how much that might affect it. But this is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. As always, hopefully we're coming back later on with this post-game recap with the Vols rolling over Missouri. But as always, guys, go Vols.